Welcome back to the soil science series. So here in part 3 we have to see some of the soil forming processes. So we know that what do we mean by soil forming? It is basically a complex or a sequence of event including both complicated reactions, simple rearrangement of matter which intimately affect the soil. So it is divided into two consecutive or overlapping stages. So first weathering of rock and into parent material, and then formation of soil from parent material. So first it is the rock which gets weathered into parent material, and then the parent material turns it into the soil with the help of some processes. So what do we mean by pedogenic processes? So it is basically a soil building. Pedogenic means soil formation process. The basic soil formation processes include or involved in soil formation includes first addition of water due to rainfall, okay, then organic mineral metal addition. First it gains, then next it loses the above material from the soil and help in transformation of the mineral and organic substance within the soil. The next, the translocation. So basically it gains, loses, transforms and translocates the soil material from one point to another within the soil. So basically this aspect is divided into two movements, that is the leaching in the form of solution and then suspension of clay, organic matter and hydroxyous substance or oxides. Then soil forming processes are basically divided into two forms, that is fundamental soil forming processes and specific small soil forming processes. So in fundamental it includes humidification, elevation and horizonation. So basically we have seen roughly about these two processes in the past video, which is the part 2. So we have to see in detail. So first, humidification. So what do you mean by the humidification? So it is the process of transformation of raw organic matter into humus or humus. Basically the raw organic matter get transformed into humus. So it is a very complex process involving bacteria, fungi and other actinomycetes in the process. So it takes place, or the decomposition of organic matter takes place into two stages, that is the mineralization and humidification. So first, mineralization, that is the deposition of organic matter in the form of dead leaves, crop residues, animal waste, or we can say the litter. Okay, the first process it takes in the form of deposition. So firstly it deposits and then it starts with the process of decomposition, that is breakdown of complex compounds such as cellulose, protein, lignins into simpler ones. So we know the decomposition process is the first mineralization, that is deposition and then decomposition. The next is humidification. So what do you mean by humidification? That is the formation of, first it takes place in the formation of intermediate products. So basically what are the intermediate products? They are the sugars, amino acids formed through proteins, the organic acids, CO2, NH4, that is ammonia or ammonium ion. Okay, the first it is फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द इंटरमीडिएट प्रोडक्ट. सो इंटरमीडिएट प्रोडक्ट फॉर्म होता है, उसके बाद पॉलीमराइजेशन एंड कंडेंसेशन. बेसिकली व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय पॉलीमराइजेशन? सो basically the organic compounds regroup themselves into large molecules by the process of polymerization. So they regroup themselves to form large molecule with the process of polymerization and become poorly soluble, means it becomes resistant to various chemicals. and then undergo the chemical reaction. Then next, humus formation. So in humification, first formation of intermediate product, polymerization and condensation, and then the last stage is humus formation. So what do you mean by humus? It is just a dark stable compound which is colored amorphous material, which refers to humus. So we have seen the first, that is humification, means transformation of organic matter into humus. So it basically a complex process which includes bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes, which takes place the decomposition process into two forms, that is mineralization, which includes deposition and decomposition. Next, it is the humification, which includes the intermediate product formation, polymerization and condensation, and then the last step is the formation of humus. The next forming process is elevation. We know that E means which is the above layer, which means the above layers helps in process of leaching out. So basically the process of mobilization of certain constituents like clay, iron oxides, aluminum oxide, or siliceous oxides, humus, calcium carbonate, and other salts. So basically it helps in mobilization of all these minerals. Elution means washing out from upper layer to the lower layer, which is B horizon. So next, elution means the lower layer, because I comes below E, basically in the B horizon. So this process help in decomposition or deposition of the soil minerals in the lower layer. So which minerals? Here all these minerals get deposited in the B layer. So here in image you can see through water percolation down the soil column, it helps in transportation or deposition of the minerals to the B layer and gets deposited so in the B layer. So it is called I or elution horizon. Then next, horizonation. So what do you mean by horizonation? Basically it is the process of differentiation of soil in different horizons. So it's just that the differentiation. So you can see here in the image the layers of soil in the different colors, basically the formation of horizon along the depth as we go beneath the soil. So basically it is the result of all these three processes: humification, elution and elution. Okay, then next we have to see about the special soil forming processes. So within which the first special soil forming processes or the process is calcification. So in calcification, basically it takes place in the region of arid and semi-arid zone. So it refers to process of precipitation and accumulation of calcium carbonate in the soil layer or the soil horizon. So here you can see in the image the deposition of calcium in the solid rock like structure or the soil. So we know that the calcium is readily soluble in the water. So the process or the calcification is the result of elevated or the elevation. So we can see the elevated horizon of carbonates in the image. So how this process takes place? So calcium is readily soluble in the acidic water, or when CO2 is dissolved in water, or CO2 is in high concentration near the root zone. So due to this, the calcium gets accumulated in the layer. One more image you can see. The upper layer is dark in color. So O layer is dense solid cover with grasses and roots. In the O and A layer, due to the process of leaching, as the calcium is in soluble form, here the formation of calcic layer takes place. Okay. So next, the process of decalcification. It is basically the opposite or the reverse of calcification. It is the removal of calcium carbonate or calcium ions from the soil with the process of leaching. So इसमें भी हम सेमी लिख सकते हैं, due to the what we can say, due to the dissolved carbon dioxide in the water, it forms soluble bicarbonate and leach down to this lower soil horizon or the soil profile. The next, podzolization. So what do you mean by podzolization? It's basically a Russian term. Pod means under and zola means ash, something related to the ash like. So through the process of elution of oxide of iron and aluminium, which is basically called sesquioxides, and also humus under the acidic condition, means around pH 4 to 5, and the removal of carbonates of organic acid formed by organic matter, and elution of silicon in the surface horizon. So basically इधर क्या होता है? Basically here in the image we can see, we know that upper soil layer, which is the A horizon, contains major organic matter and minerals because it is called the mineral horizons. Or we can see the amount of clay here, it is more due to the moist or waterlogged conditions or irrigations. The water takes down the minerals with it. So which types of minerals? That is the aluminium or the iron oxides, humus, and organic acids or organic matter. So it gets deposited in the lower layers and causes the layer to become in light in color or get bleached or gray in color. So it forms the podzol type of soil. So basically it is formed in forest soil, cold and humid climate. Here we have seen elevated horizon assumes, elevated means जहाँ से लीच डाउन हुआ वो horizon bleach grey color बनती है, and basically it becomes acidic and siliceous condition appear, means more amount of silica is generated or is left over and the other material is washed out. So in the image you can see here the appearance of the gray layer or the bleaching layer. The next, the lateralization, means basically it is brick like, majorly found in Indian clay soils, the region of Kerala, basically in Malabar, the Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and the Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. This type of soil formation takes place. The laterization means inverse of podzolization. Just it is the reverse process. That is, it removes silica instead of the sesquic oxide and organic matter from the upper layer. So we have seen here which types of minerals, that is the organic acids, organic matter, sesquioxides get removed, but here the silica gets removed and all these sesquioxides remains as it is. So silica gets transferred to the next layer, thereby leaving sesquioxides to concentrate in the soil. Okay, and makes the soil brick like, hard brick like. So from these two images we can get clear about the concept or the confusion caused due to the podzolization and laterization. Basically, we know it takes place in cool conditions where high precipitation is available or abundant precipitation is available, and the laterization takes place in warmer region. We know that is major part of South India where heavy precipitation takes place. So basically in podzolization, due to high leaching, in the zone of elevation, major oxides, that is aluminum oxides, iron oxides, get deposited into the down layers, and other humus colloids, that is, or we can say salts like calcium salts, sodium salts, get into the streams or the water table. Whereas in laterization, due to high precipitation, heavy precipitation, little or no organic debris get into this leaching process. Here just it takes place the accumulation of the oxides and washing out of silica and other salts down the layer. So due to accumulation of the oxides, it makes the horizon cemented, dried, very hard. Basically it makes it brick like. The next, Gleization, means where the soil becomes blue, green, gray. Here in the image you can clearly see the formation of the blue, green, gray layer in the soil. It is formed in the lower horizon due to the poor drainage, anaerobic condition with reduction in Fe and Mg, which makes the soil acidic. Okay, due to iron and magnesium. The next, what do you mean by salinization? We know that it formed in semi-arid or arid conditions. Basically, it is a process of accumulation of salt such as sulfates and chlorides of calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. So it is the sulfates and chlorides of calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium in the soil in the form of salty horizon. So it can take place through capillary action or through process of evapotranspiration. Capillarize on the saline groundwater and by inundation of seawater. Basically it is seen in the coastal areas where the saline or salty seawater meets the river fresh water. Coastal areas. So desalination means just the reverse, that is removal of excess of soluble salts from the horizon that contain enough soluble salts. So which type of soluble salts? Sulfates and chlorides of calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. So all these salts impair the plant growth, affect the plant growth. So we know the desalinization. The next, salinization, which is also called as alkalization. So it is the process of accumulation of sodium ions on the exchange complex of the clay. So here in the image you can see that here is the clay complex. Okay, this is the clay complex. Here on the clay complex there are exchangeable sites which can be hydrogen, which can be occupied by hydrogen, potassium, or any other ions. So in the process of salinization, the sites are majorly occupied by sodic ions or sodium ion. So we can see that this clay complex contains potassium, calcium, hydrogen, magnesium ions. Okay. Then next, in the sodic condition, which is the problematic soil, the clay complex is mostly occupied with sodium ions. So it involves the accumulation of sodium ions on the exchange complex of clay, resulting formation of sodic soils. So by this way, with the help of image, you can represent which will enhance the marks in the exam. So next, what do you mean by solidization, or we can say dealkanization? So it is the same reverse process, that is the removal of sodium ion. Here again we can draw a diagram, that is this is the soil complex and these are the exchangeable sites where ions get exchanged, just the reverse of the above process which you have seen. So here the removal of sodium ion takes place from the exchange sites. So next, what do we mean by pedoturbation? So pedoturbation means basically the mixing of soil, something related to mixing. So it can be caused through faunal, floral or acyclic. So faunal means basically through animal or man, animal through earthworm, and termite moles through the process of burrowing, or we know moles dig hole in the ground. Okay, the man through agriculture practices. And next, floral through plants, we know the plant roots expands as the growth takes place. So through this mixing of soil takes place. And through acyclic means through process of swelling and shrinking, basically seen in black soils. When the soil becomes wet, it swells, and due to the low moisture condition or the dry condition, the soil shrinks again. So by this way, the soil particles get mixed into one another. So here for today, let meet into the next part of the video. So do watch and do subscribe.